Hello, fellow Toastmasters. How's everybody? All quarantined and behaving? So one of the criterion I had for this was talking about finding humor as one of the means to get the buy-in. And a friend of mine, just after I did that, sent me this song of Irish. It's a wee Irish little song there. It's about the pandemic, but unfortunately it's using a lot of language that isn't officially Toastmastery. So if you want, I can send it to you after. It was pretty funny. I had a fellow teacher in my preschool in hysterics. So what I'm going to be talking today about is how to get buy-in for virtual meeting participation. Anybody here struggling, if I can see a hands, with buy-in or people kind of reticent about technology? Yeah? Yeah. Absolutely. So I had years as a corporate trainer and a motivational audio producer, and a lot of the work we did was actually virtual training. And why I didn't like it near as much as meeting with people, there is a way it can work for you. And when you're open to learning it, of course, you've got a whole new toolkit that you can access as far as your corporate world and say, yes, I've got training in this, and yes, I can do very well with it, very comfortable. So if I'm going to start, I'm going to talk about the pre-meeting buy-ins, because you've got to get people out there to be here. And I'm preaching to the meeting choir that is here with me now. But that's all right. And I have something on paper, just an outline I can send you if you're interested as well. So I can send that out. But basically, pre-meeting buy-in. So if you consider that might be something new, some new technology that you're struggling with, or others in the meeting are struggling with, some of the buy-ins that I consider useful. First of all, what would incentivize the members to come to the meeting? So first thing I think is training. So if you can get together and show them step by step how to log into Zoom or whatever the meeting host would be, definitely demystify the process. So that's number one. Then I was thinking, okay, what else? Well, if we incentivize members with things like quizzes or fun contests or guest speakers with hot topics, that's always fun. I know as an area director, some of my clubs, one of them in particular said, you know, why do I want to go to TLI when I've already been there? We've all been for years. And I keep saying, well, yeah, but we got new fun seminars and guest speakers, and there's a heck of a lot more than just the same old, same old. So I think one of the ways to get the buy-in is to appeal to their sense of inspiration, to appeal to their sense of fun. I say it's the big F word, and that's kind of front and central in my world right now, is finding fun in everything, which is, I'd love to play that song. You know, maybe I don't know, I have to get Stella's okay, but if you wanted to stay on at the, at the end, if it could be unofficial Toastmasters, it's a heck of a lot of good fun. Anyway, then you also, to get the buy-in, you want to make sure you give people plenty of notice and have them commit prior. What happens, and they've done studies in this, when you send out information and you don't set up an Eventbrite, or you don't have pre-commitment by people where they're signing up, they are more lackadaisical about actually giving it their all and showing up. It's like, well, I never really signed up. So one of the ways to get buy-in is to create an Eventbrite or another event post that would be a hoster that you would invite people to, and they would click yes or no to attend. And you can also have that host send them reminders, you know, a couple hours or a day before. That is also part of the buy-in, because you and I both know, if you signed up for something like this meeting, if you had pre-signed, then you're more apt to say in your sense of integrity, well, I've already signed up, I better show up. So that is another buy-in, is to have them notified early enough. And then when you do notify, graphics. So I know when I have my area contests and stuff, I'll have fun graphics, and I'll do a very short notice. When you do your notice, make sure it's bullet points. And being in the publishing world, I'm all about how do we grab people. So you can say the 3 C's of communication are connection and blah, 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 and fall asleep. But if you use rhetoric that is inviting and engaging, if you have a little, could even be a little joke or a theme, that is always a way to get a further buy-in. Then once you're in the meeting, there's the buy-in to be within the meeting so that you make sure that your audience is engaged, that your fellow club members are getting something out of it and enjoying it. And there's 3 areas where I talk about the buy-in in the actual meeting. Well, I'm going to slow down here. Does anybody have any thoughts, any questions, or further suggestions on buy-in prior to the meeting? Because I'm zipping through this pretty fast. I just got out of work. I'm still working with these little children, and I'm still running on overdrive. So anybody, I have not muted you because you've all done a wonderful job.
I mean, some of my concern, I don't know if all our members in our, it's a community club, older people would have all the, even computers with cameras and all that, have even a computer. One of the guys doesn't even have his own, computer at home. So I just don't know if people have the technology, access to the hardware to
right. Well, we could certainly do them some sample little video clips. They don't need a computer. So if they have a phone or a cell phone of any kind, all they do is click on the link and they can listen to it auditorially. So they don't even have to. But like you say, I think there's this trepidation and like, wait a second here, I'm not techno savvy. I think so that one of the things, and Stella, I know you've got a lot of trainings that Stella's got set up for the how-tos of virtual meetings. And when that's recorded, as a trainer, the simpler you can give, even if it's just screenshots. This is what you click on with an arrow. This is like really basic step-by-step for people that are not. Because a lot of people, when they're not techno-savvy, they don't necessarily want to admit it, right? It's kind of like embarrassing, or they may not say much. But having, and Stella, I think maybe we could create that, is having screenshots, very simple. And when I was a trainer, you'd have a big arrow that would come in on the screenshot and they could say, okay, click here, step by step, super, super easy. So it demystifies the process. But I think that's a very, very valid point. Very good one. Anybody else, suggestions, ideas, concerns on the buy-in to get them to the meeting in the first place?
My feeling is that the technology is the one that people are going to fear. It's like the first time you had gotten a microwave, you're like, oh my God, it's going to explode on you. But once you get familiarized with it, then it's very easy. And it's maybe what we do is we actually have like, just having that intro. Okay, this is where you want to look. This is what you want to touch. This is how you dial in. This is a code. This is the room number. And just that simple stuff. I think if we just take our time and explain it that way, I think then once that happens, then people will start enjoying it,
Well, and what we could do is send the various members a couple screenshots on just basically how to log in, and then we could have them do trial runs. So we say we set up a meeting, and this is just for them to see if they can get in and how easy it is. So it demystifies the process. Yeah. Yep. Any other suggestions, ideas, questions, or concerns?
I actually had a little bit of a question, only because we're talking in terms of existing members, and I understand why, but in terms of like getting new visitors, like I know that we can put up flyers, like in a normal situation where it's not virtual, you can put up flyers in the library and community centers and things like that, but not having those kind of touch points now, how would you recommend we get new people to still visit and come?
Sure. Well, what I'm doing, for example, I've just written 2 books, and the first one has just been published, and I bought 100 books that just came in from the publisher today to sell at 3 speaking engagements that are all canceled. But social media is huge. So what I've started doing is, for example, on Facebook, Instagram, all my social media, I've started what I've called the Corona Calm, which is a short meditation videos that I've been putting out every couple days with some insights and then calming techniques. So that kind of thing. So putting out short videos on social media, say, hey, you guys are stuck at home. Guess what? Send this to your friends. We've got the most awesome Toastmasters meeting coming up. And even if they're not members, and then pulling them in with themes, with ideas, with different incentives, with humor. Humor is a big one. So, I'm thinking of Mr. Irish Connor Connon and his flippant Irish quality that he has. So finding ways in social media, and again, using really fun graphics and suggesting, you're sitting there bored at home, So you kind of write like you were a copywriter. So like you're writing a press release or a PR kit. But what I've been doing, or if you really got, and you do have, a lot of us are going to have a lot of time on our hands, if you're all familiar with either iMovie or GarageBand or any software on recording, when Zoom records and you have the file, you can get a snippet, and you could end up having a 30 or 60-second or up to 2-minute video snippet of a really fun part of the meeting where people are laughing and connecting. And then you could put that with a nice piece of graphics or joke on your social media and just say, hey guys, we are connecting in such a fun way. So you want to step out of the crazy panic, join our meeting. So that's the way I would do it, is really kind of use social media, because people are going to be on it more than ever, right? So where they're usually at work and sneaking onto it a couple of days, they're going to be sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. Anybody else have any suggestions?
Yes, we have. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm, thank you.
Okay, this is Julia. We have a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was shared it with my friends, and I'm getting people that are like interested, and because we're having a meeting online this Saturday. So that's available on Facebook. So I'm thinking that people that were hesitant to go to an actual meeting will now maybe come on board because it's an online, it's non-threatening. And so we're looking to see if we get some new people that visit online.
And that, the great idea, just what you said, to write the copy like that. Have you always been curious about Toastmasters, but you're kind of nervous to show up? Well, you could be on this conference call and you don't have to say a peep. And we don't even need you. Can be a spy checking us out, right?
Right.
A way to get them out and saying exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think with the technology, it's a really good tool for people to have in their back pocket. When I look at jobs, I'm trying not to go back to corporate America again, but but when you do, you look at the criteria and they want to have people that are techno savvy. So saying, people, and virtual meetings are such, and they're going to be even more a thing of the future with all of
it. It is. Right? Yeah.
So it gives another buy-in is to say to people, you're going to use a new technology and learn a new technology that's going to make you more, quote, professional or more hireable in the corporate world kind of thing. Because it's it could be saying to people, if you've been dreading it and you find it scary, number one, it's very easy. Number two, it's a very valuable tool to have in your toolkit.
Well, my company is really pushing it now with more people they're requiring us to work remotely. And that's the way it's going to be for the next few weeks or a month.
Yeah. And for me, as a corporate trainer, I was working for a Sam Zell's company, and I got to travel to resorts all over the U.S., 450 resorts. I loved it.
Oh.
Then we had a new boss in, and he kept trying to put us in the box, so I didn't get my creative stuff. I couldn't do as much anymore. And he said, we're going to do virtual. And I was like, okay. So it has its values.
And how many times can you bring your dog to a Toastmasters meeting? I mean, everybody can bring their pet to the meeting, and they can go.
I think you have to introduce them, though.
Huh?
You have to introduce them first.
This little girl, though she does look like a boy.
Okay.
This is Wiggles.
Wiggles.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. She's a sweetie. She's 11 pounds. That's why I can hold her up.
Now, I wanted to get a little bit more into the buy-in.
Oh, there's a boat. Kathy's got her doggie there. Looky. Kathy's got her doggie. See, we're going to have our doggies on. That's kind of fun, right? That's innovative.
Yeah.
All right. Since you
This is Princess.
You guys bring your doggies. I have a tool that I use to calm and quiet my kids, and this is Rocky. And he's a very shy little puppet. So with my kid, he'll come out and play. Oh, he's a free girl. He'll only come out and play if the kids behave. So he's very popular. So again, that's creative finding, and that was my next step. So going into, you've got to get a buy-in once you have the meetings. If it's really boring and people don't really want to be there, and they're kind of going, okay, so honoring the protocol, of course, which Stella knows I'm not the best at all of that. But then when you're doing it, what do people want? So you're asking yourself, what are humans' basic needs? We all want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be acknowledged or appreciated, right? That is the basic human desire. And so in the meetings, when we're doing the virtual, honoring that, first thing is, so what do we need is to be seen and heard, is so you do a check-in. And you could ask a fun, poignant question like, what was your most embarrassing moment? What's the craziest things that's happened since this whole whatever? So finding a touch point with everyone that could be fun and creative, or just giving them a short, hey, check in and tell us how you're doing. One of the things I want to mention though with virtual meetings, you know, when you're in a room, you have a certain energy and somebody can kind of cut in and say, okay, let's move on. You do not have that advantage in the actual virtual meetings. So one of the things I've done and encouraged is to have a timer going. So you know how there's some people that are not as socially aware as others, and you'll ask them to do a quick introduction, and then 7 years later, they're still going on. Not that any of us do that, but what I would tend to do is, if we can, is have, you know, I have a little chime that goes off. So I'll say, everybody take 2 minutes or 1 minute, because another thing with the virtual meetings, you got to be careful, they could go on forever. So the way I do it is they're going to have a little chime go off, and then you don't interrupt the person or cut them off, but it can be a matter of, that can be a wonderful tool to assist you in keeping things on track and on time. Another thing to do is humor whenever possible. Again, engage in humor and set an intention or a commitment for this to be a joyful experience. So it can be very, or again, having themes. So if it's going to be professionally, how to, might be, so the theme might be how to conduct yourself on a virtual interview. For example, even television, I've got a callback for a reality TV show interview on Thursday. And so they've said to me, okay, so make sure you do the hair, the lighting, make yourself as attractive as you can. And there's certain criteria. So could be how to conduct yourself on a virtual meeting, how to light yourself, so you can do stuff around supporting virtual meetings and have themes like that as well. Another thing is—
I have a question.
Sure.
This is James. A question about the if you do an actual Toastmasters meeting and the timing aspect of it, do you do the red, yellow, green with an official timer? How does that work on a Zoom situation?
Well, I think you would actually. So, you know, having the big red, so you're putting it up, but you want to make sure, but because it's Zoom, it could be very much you're trying to do this. But if you note that the person, if they're being on video and they look like they're not really connecting, you know, because I'm up here actually. So, but definitely have that. Noel, do you have a suggestion or idea?
Yes, I certainly do. Thank you so much, Theresa. I'm really enjoying this. I was signed on Stella's account, and I was trying to respond to some of the things that you mentioned. So I signed off and signed on my own account. But James, just to let you know, we are having the virtual contest. So as you've heard, area contests and the division contests are all going to be held virtually. And we've actually asked around the world exactly how would you do the timing, because that was the biggest thing. And now this applies also for Toastmasters meeting. What you do is, if you notice, if you look in the bottom, you're going to get a gallery of people that you can see on your screen. What you can do, see, that's exactly what Larry is doing. He's putting it, I can see Larry sharing his screen. But what you can do, yeah, there's two ways you can do. The way this is going to be, at least for the contest, is you can pin a single person as your, you know, as a screen that shows up, and then they can show the card. So whoever your timer is, that's what they can do. Or exactly like what Larry did, was sharing the screen. The only problem is if you're the presenter and you have a video that you have to show, or like a PowerPoint, then you can't do those two things at the same time. So it's best to pin whoever has the, you know, because if the person who's presenting has to use a PowerPoint, and then Larry's showing his PowerPoint of the green, yellow, red, it can't do two things at the same time. So what you do is you pin whoever's the timer, and then they can show the card.
Now, again, that would be something where somebody, and James, I just have to tell you, your lighting is perfect. Your lighting is absolutely perfect. I'm very impressed, whether you intended it or not. But basically,
Thank you.
But one of the things we're going to have to do is provide people with the how-to. Like Larry just put up those wonderful, vibrant cards. Somebody who's not techno-savvy would go, how do I ever do that? So again, that could be something that we offer people, the step-by-step how-to make that happen. Larry, I don't know if that's an opportunity.
That's actually in the works because of the contest. We're suddenly having to put a lot of things that you've mentioned, especially on the screenshots. And you are right. Somebody put it on the chat that they said, I think it was Thomas Gore. Tom mentioned that, it's true. Most people won't have like either the phone with the camera on it, but you could still participate without the screen. So yes, we will have some screenshots available so you know just how to go in. Our next presentation is going to be Iqbal Acha. It's just setting up virtually, and he'll cover quite a lot of those things. So we're recording it, and then we're also taking screenshots of what he does for it.
And Larry said, I believe his signs as far as timing are PowerPoints. So again, but we would need to again instruct our members how to get the PowerPoint onto the screen. So the more that we can do step by step and like really simple, like I said, big, huge arrows, step 1 here, step 2, etc. So absolutely. And you guys are already getting that happening. So thank you.
I had a question about the virtual contest that you're holding. Is it possible for some of us to be as spectators like you would, in an actual contest, so we can see how all this is being done? And what would be the process for signing up as a spectator?
We will be sending out some information that shortly. It's actually coming from my end since I'm the program quality director. We're putting together stuff for the functionaries because this is the first time anybody in the entire world for Toastmasters that has done a contest virtually. So we're all trying to figure out, okay, how do you do the functionaries and put them on a separate room, do the briefing, and then how do the judges send their information? And then the contestants, they have to practice with the whole, how far do you back up? Or like how Theresa mentioned, James's video, you could see it's very clear. His lighting is awesome. I don't know what, James, do you have lighting like left, right, and above, or? Because it looks really good.
It really is.
Yeah, mine is probably the worst one.
Thanks. I think I can take that honor.
How's my lighting?
I'm just in the kitchen in my house. My dad built this house, so it's just the lighting is up above, just a
Overhead.
kitchen light just right above me. That's the only thing I have. And I was actually on a call last night. It was a Zoom call last night, and it was around 7 o'clock, and I was really dark. I felt really dark, and the lighting was not as good. So I don't know what happened tonight, but it was a little bit better for some reason.
Maybe the lighting fairies came last night.
Yeah, they didn't leave me any money, but it might be.
Yeah,
I did change I changed the background from last night. Or actually, I think what I did is I pushed the laptop. The video is actually further back. Like last night, I was this close, and it was, I don't know, for some reason it was actually a different laptop. It was a different camera. That's why. Now that I think about it, it was a different laptop.
Well, James, I'm coming to the kitchen for my callback audition with Ellen DeGeneres' production.
Sounds good. I'll make some food for you.
Now, to answer your question regarding about audience, yes, you can have audience. One of the things that we will ask the audience, though, is, one, we're going to set up a Zoom meeting so that everybody's microphone is automatically off. But we will ask, make sure, because this affects the audience. The difficult part for the contestant is the more screens that you have open and the more tabs that you have open, it slows down your video and your connection. So it's going to be difficult for the contestant, but as an audience member, you can watch the speech. Actually, that's the nice thing about it, is you are able to watch the contest.
Great.
I have a question. When you're having speeches and you have somebody doing a judging on it, since you're doing this virtually and you have this very small little area here where you're at, how do you judge body movement, gestures, and things of that nature? You really don't have the full stage that you use when you're giving a speech in front of an audience.
This is kind of similar to what we have for, if you guys had not heard, last year was the first time we did this at our annual conference, was the district contest international speech was recorded live. And so that's why we're able to see the people. We marked off the stage on where they can move and how far back was the camera without having to pan, because we're not allowed to pan or zoom or anything like that. So what we did was the rules for the contest says that, you have to be visible. So in this case, there's one district that has done this before. They've been doing their contest already. It's District 2. That's the Seattle area. And if you've heard, that was pretty much the first place case that happened for the COVID virus. So they had on their first contest 3 contestants. First contestant was all you can see is the face. The second contestant was 3/4 of the body. And then the third one actually backed up all the way so you can see the full body. And he looked at the screen on how far he can move without having to go left or right. So that was the main thing that he did. But we are definitely still trying to get this thing done because we have to make sure that all contestants know how to set up their screen.
Yeah, that'd be a key point on how to set up the screen so that you have body movement and use of stage and things like that.
Absolutely. I mean, right now we were just talking about everybody with the lighting. District 2 actually even gave lighting advice for me when I joined in their meeting and their debriefing of their meeting, and they were talking about making sure that the lighting is, you don't have it behind you, like how Carol Henry. If you look at her lighting is right behind her, and all you see is this dark image.
Yeah.
And mine's directly above, and that's probably why I'm all washed out.
Yeah, that's so you can tell. With Kathy, her lighting is on the left, so she's visible. But if she put lighting on her left side too, then that would actually be nice. Like, you're getting even lighting. Keisha's is a little bit dark. With Stella, I think she turned off the lights on everything, and then it's the reflection of the light of her screen that's giving her the light. Is that correct, Stella?
Well, I'm doing the noir look. I love noir. All black and white movies. I'm all into it. If you're going to ask me what I want to do after I finish my year of district director, it's watching noir films. So I'm doing the noir look. But, that kind of leads into the one thing about keeping things joyful and engaging is you can set up your room differently. Just like James mentioned, you can do something different, and you could show off your trophies in the back. You can show off the participation certificates that you've got in your drawer. I mean, it's like so many wonderful things that you can have fun with, and I think that's going to help us evolve, right?
Absolutely. One of the other things I was talking about, I was trying to think of, what creative out-of-the-box ideas could we have to engage the members at the meetings. One of the things is a de-stress break. So for me, I listen to, if I type inspiring music in YouTube, they have all these really good flash mobs and pop singers and inspirational, like really, you can get a positive music. And so one of my ideas was having a de-stress break during the actual meeting, put some inspiring music on, tell people if they're shy, they can turn off their cameras, or if they're not, and like have a group dance or sing, like just let's rock it together, guys. Another is kind of, you could have theme contests. Who am I or what am I? You could have, Stella talked about noir. So we could have noir themes. So everybody's kind of, let's do the mysterious or something from the 70s or somebody, let's get into our hippie 1960s clothes or whatever, like just making it kind of fun. And themes are always a great way to do that. So that was some other ideas. And then of course you want to keep the meetings, and I think that I'm preaching to the choir as far as focus on encouragement. So doing the good old feedback sandwich. So you starting with positive, then giving suggestions on how to better their speeches, and then ending on a positive note too. It really makes a difference. And just quickly, I've had a history as a stage and a television actor, and it is a different feel and a different movement. So when you're on stage, everything's huge. And you project huge, and your physicalization is huge. When you are working in the camera, it's literally all in the eyes. So if I'm doing the huge stuff, it's considered a distraction. And that's why a lot of stage actors sometimes have a difficult time getting television and film, because it is a lot more compact. So a note, and we could even do, a seminar on that. It's kind of like how to feel out and fill out your space. So if you're going to be this close and you're going to be doing your speeches, then number one, I'm not going to be looking at everybody here. I'm going to be looking in the camera, but can be very, very subtle motions and subtle movements in order to affect the audience. So there's a whole different technique behind that.
Wow, I think we're almost going to be developing better speakers by taking this challenge of getting good on the virtual, because I think it's going to add another tool to us when we actually go on stage. Is that correct?
Yes, and authenticity. So subtlety and authenticity. So having that sense of intimacy there on camera is a very different thing than doing the whole, hey, audience, here I am. So yes, it'll actually hold a different skill among members as well.
I think the other thing, and I may have heard Noel mention it, is when you have more people on, your bandwidth tends to be a little stressed. So are you going to get a little more choppy in what people are seeing?
Absolutely. So just to let you guys know, that is one of the things that we're going to ask the contestants when they do their presentation, is to make sure that they close, if they need to download the Zoom program instead of using Zoom as, running it through the browser. Because if you run it through the browser, it slows down. If you use the program downloaded on your computer, it moves a little faster. But if you were still using in the browser, you need to close off a lot of the tabs that you have open. I'm guilty of that. I love multitasking. It's like, oh yeah, I'll answer some emails and then I'll do the Zoom. So it slows down the bandwidth. And then preferably, Wi-Fi, depending upon how fast your Wi-Fi is, you might want to connect to either a hard line, or if you use a hotspot, if your phone is actually a faster connection, that would be a better thing for you to do. So yeah, it is a concern. When you have so many things going on, it slows down when you have so many screens that are open.
Well, and it might be that, depending on how things go, where the contest, we can certainly encourage members that we're going to have a replay video where they can watch it thereafter, so there isn't that interference. So it could be doing the contest with smaller numbers, but saying, hey guys, here's the contest in all its entirety, and you can watch it thereafter.
You know what, that sound that I just heard of somebody either closing a door or whatever, that's kind of fun too. You could play games like, okay, you create a sound and you go, so what made that sound? What is that sound? And it'd be kind of fun to actually interject some kind of game to your presentation as well.
Yes, actually that's what I've been doing with my grade school kids, as again, I'm an audio producer, so we've been doing soundscapes. So we've been doing storytelling and they're making sound effects. So that's a great idea, Stell, just kind of. And again, that's another thing, is being very present in your meetings, being an active listener. We can multitask when we're doing video conferencing and virtual meetings, but we're not, and I've been guilty of it myself. I don't claim I haven't been, but when you're not fully present energetically for the other people, believe it or not, even if we're not conscious of it, I think it's felt. So we got to be very careful to be present in the virtual meetings, and it takes a lot more discipline, because if they're right in front of us, we know we can't start doing the hey. Something to consider.
We could do the wave.
Want to say?
We could do the wave.
Yeah, right. Carol, do you want to add anything there?
Oh, no, not really.
No?
I'm just listening.
She's the ladies, the shadow talks.
It'd be fun if we had everybody that's on the call just say, hello and their name and their feedback so far, what they've gotten out of this, just to get some interaction with people.
In fact, I should have started that.
Sure. This is Vasavi Duvvur, and I'm from the Deerbrook Park Toastmasters Club, and James and I are from the same club, and Jerry from our club is, I think, one of the last two contestants standing for the contest, actually. So I guess James can probably help Jerry out with the lighting. Yeah, this is our first time trying all of this. I'm the VP Education, and I'm trying to understand if there was a softer way to get our members. I think we're all hesitant. I myself do not have a camera on my computer right now, so I am very camera shy, and I'm presuming a lot of members in our group. So do you have any advice for like a baby step towards doing a virtual meeting? Because people are more comfortable with a conference call where you're not seeing each other, but you're still able to hear each other, but something halfway between going totally virtual and everybody seeing everybody's faces versus.
Well, we don't see your face, so you can block the camera. So people have an option to be auditory only. So, you know, making that clear to people, you can be on a virtual conference and not be so that they do have that option.
Okay, so like I am right now, and then probably we can do that for the first meeting where we say you can have the cameras turned off and we can still hear each other and see who's talking.
I think
okay.
Yeah, make it, and that's a very good point. So make it clear to them if you are camera shy,
yeah,
heard, and literally you can sit and watch. You're not going to be pressured in any way.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Oh yeah, we were going to go through the list. So thank you. And then the next person, anybody else want to chime in on any ahas, ideas, or insights they have?
Hi, this is Tom, and I'm from the Sears Toastmaster Club, and I liked the idea if you can get some sort of a narrative put together that we can distribute to our club members, sort of a click on this, click on that. I tend to be the technology expert. I have the most knowledge about a lot of this. And when we went into Pathways, I was the one that made up a little document for our VP of Education that told them, here's how you get into Pathways. Here's what you need to click on to approve the speeches. Oh, and by the way, you also need to remember to go back on the legacy side and click on that. So I put together a little document that did that, and the members that have been the VP of Education in my club, that was greatly appreciated by them.
Wonderful. I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
One of the things I think I might point out is that there are multiple tools that are out here available to us. And we tested 2 tools this evening. We'll be testing another tool shortly after this meeting, I hope, to see if we can get which one to work. The Zoom seems to have worked the best, but Zoom has limitations for the number of minutes that you can be on. It's 40 minutes by the free version of it. Other tools that are out there may have longer. I was using one earlier today, and when I called in their tech support, they indicated it's because of the vast number of people that are going to sign up presently, that their bandwidth and their equipment is suffering as a result of it. So whatever we test, we have to realize things can get better and things could get worse. One of the things you might want to consider is, not related to what I just said, but just related to this meeting, mute yourself until it's time to speak, and then we won't have a flash of your face up there in the midst of when Theresa is presenting.
Thank you, Larry. Good idea.
I'd like to add a couple of things. First of all, the person who asked the question about, the baby steps, I do agree. If you start off with just giving a call, if you give them the phone number and the meeting ID, and that's fine. And then when they do get comfortable enough having the video, just like how we have regular Toastmasters meetings when we have guests or brand new members, they're afraid to participate. So all they do is they sit and they just watch the speeches, and that's fine too. So all they're doing is they're watching. So that's the comfort level. They can watch and they can say, oh, so that's how it works. I can see everybody in the bottom. They don't have to talk. They just participate in the meeting, and at least they know they're a part of it. And then, if they're brave enough, then they maybe click for the table topics. As with what Larry said, here's some advice that came from a couple clubs that they figured out how to get around the 40 or 45 minute limitation for a free count. If you guys are not aware, if you check on the District 30 website on the homepage, this is something that Stella told us to make sure we have it all set up, was given the guidance in virtual meetings and also the contest and everything else. But in the virtual meeting, it gives you links to all the popular software that's available there. Test it out, which one works best for you. Now, if it's something around the 40, 45 minute range, what you could do is you could actually set up 2 meetings and put a 10-minute break and then start up again another 45 minutes or something like that. If it's 40 minutes and then put a 5-minute break and then start up again, that would work best for your club, because now they had the break, like they actually had to have that snack break that we would have in a regular meeting, and then start up again.
Great idea. Great idea. Thank you, Noel.
I like that idea. Thank you.
Yes, I think we're getting near our 40-minute point here too. Correctly. Thank you all for joining. Unless anybody has any final words of wisdom, I just think making fun the priority, making it engaging, and giving people permission to make mistakes. So it's like, if you don't know technology, we're beyond the days where, you know, you're afraid you're going to blow up the computer and everything's going to fall apart. So it's like saying, hey, we invite you to play with us. And worst case scenario, you get heard hiccuping. I know when I did my first television gig, they had mic'd me and they didn't tell me. It was my very first. And then they had me take a break for half an hour, and then we got back to studio. They went, by the way, your mic's been on the last half hour. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Have I gone to the bathroom? Oh my God. So no.
I did that once in a thing we had at church. I forgot to mute everybody's mic at our break, and I had people going to the bathroom.
You're like, I hope I didn't have gas. So just make it about fun and play and encouragement and simplicity. So that's bottom line.
No, we've got more time. This is a purchase Zoom account, so we have the time, so we don't have to rush. I kind of like to throw an idea. How about if someone gives a speech, a 30-second speech, just so we can see how a speech could look. Is anybody up for that?
I can give a quick update of our club meeting today. We just had, this is Fan Lanjin from MSI Communicators Club. We just had an online meeting today, 12 to 1 p.m. today. One person gave a speech. We go through the normal agenda. Everything went fine. It's just that the Toastmaster has to call whoever is on the agenda and just call the person to take over, and then the person will, whoever's next will take over. So it went very smooth. People feel, there were some people who cannot usually come, but they were able to join today. It was, the feedback was really good, because this is a corporate club where everybody was able to join with the Google Hangout. So that we probably are one of the first clubs did the virtual meeting today. We'll continue this way in the next few weeks.
That's great, and we're trying to post that on social media that it's working and it's successful. So again, encourage other people to do it and send out an email to other people that you know. Hey, it's working. Try it out. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely spread the words.
I have a question. You said the D30 has the step-by-step instructions for setting it up, such as the person who is in control of the meeting.
The D30 website right now, if you go into it, it has how to do virtual club meetings. I think it's the first big button that's on the main page, and it gives you some options of different medias that you can try. You can try GoToMeetings, you can try Zoom, you can try free conference call. That's what right now we have on the D30 website. As far as what we're talking about tonight, we'll work on trying to create a really nice screenshot, we'll work on that within the next week and send it out to everybody.
We're actually going to use Iqbal's presentation, since Iqbal is actually giving a presentation on how to set up virtual. Since we're recording it, we're going to take screenshots of what he does so he can show you step by step, and then we will post it out also on the page. So for everybody, if you guys were not aware, we are recording this meeting, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and then we're going to post it up, the link for it, on the course that's listed as, engaging the members, the buy-in, the one from Theresa Puskar. So they can see what the video is and they see what our conversations are, and then that should help out.
And Keisha was going to say something, and then we interrupted her. So Keisha, did you want to?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It was a couple minutes ago. I was just going to piggyback on, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Fanlan's.
Yes.
Comment about Google Hangouts. Something that I just learned literally today was that they apparently are they are making Google Hangouts premium free until July. So the premium features that would normally come with it are going to be free because they know so many people are working from home and everything. So if that's a consideration for people, yeah, just putting that out there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. That's good to know.
Smart for Google to do that, because then they're going to have people buying in and using the product thereafter. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? Any ideas? Any questions?
Here's a thought, and this may be if you're just holding a meeting in your club and you have a speech, until you get people accustomed to the sharing of screens or things like that, you might be able to use the chat bar that's on the right-hand side for your timer and have them post a little thing that says green, 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 yellow, 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 red, red, red.
Yeah, that would be an idea, although that's awfully small, but that is a good idea. And what I got a note from Larry is that the red, green, and yellows he had are in a PowerPoint. And so that's another whole aspect of virtual meetings that people can learn, is how to use PowerPoint. When I was a trainer, for example, I had how-tos and PowerPoints interspersed throughout the through the meeting. So that's another tool that we can certainly use, teach people how to enhance their presentations through PowerPoint.
Theresa, I kind of want to give it a try. Can I give a short speech? I've never done this before, but maybe this may be kind of interesting and could be kind of fun. One of my favorite speeches. Are you up for it?
Go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Driving behind semis. Have you ever driven behind a semi? There you go. You get on the expressway and you're just going to go to your next appointment. And what's in front of you? A semi. And this semi is just blocking your view. It's this rectangular box that's big and it's blocking your view. And you're just driving along, and for a while there, you get kind of like, oh, well, I'll just drive here. I got things I want to think about, things I want to talk about at my next meeting. And then all of a sudden you get bored because you see this box in front of you. But if you just go ahead and just take a chance and look to your left, look to your right, look to your left, look in your mirror, and then turn your signal on and go to the next lane, now all of a sudden your view is totally different. Now you're driving down the expressway, and before you know it, you're getting a little more speed. And as you get the speed, all of a sudden that semi is behind you. Now your vista is huge. You can see people getting on the expressway. You can see people getting off the expressway. And it's kind of like in life. When we drive behind semis, when we drive behind something that blocks our view, it's okay for a while, but after a while, you got to venture out. And then when you do venture out, you see opportunities coming in, and you see opportunities going ahead and expanding to new vistas, new opportunities. So my feeling is drive behind a semi, but move on out when it's safe and just propel your life to the future. Thank you. That's impromptu, so I don't know. But how does that work?
That looked good. How did it feel for you?
It didn't bother me. The only thing is I felt like I was not able to put my eyes on the camera. I wasn't sure to where to put my eyes. Almost like you're kind of stage fright a little bit. But I think that with practice, I think you get to be better at that. But it was my first time doing this, so I thought I'd give it a try.
There is a little trick to camera work, and you can use it on your computer. When I'm doing auditions, you actually, as an actor, you can ask to have a casting person or the person that's reading with you literally right beside the camera, so you can got somebody to relate to, but it looks like you're in the camera. So crazy as it sounds, you can put a little picture right beside your little dot of your camera on your computer. You can put a person's picture there, a little tiny picture, and relate to that picture.
And my dog, Wiggles.
There you go. So that's a little trick of the trade.
Okay. Well, we can all take turns, right, and have some fun with this. And have a lot of fun with this, actually. You know, we can actually have a great deal of fun. Bringing potluck in.
Yeah. And I think it's really, I acknowledge our trio for all of the hard work and how far ahead of other districts they are in area divisions as far as getting this virtual stuff all happening. And I just think if we I'm even thinking, okay, my PR and marketing brain, is there a way to incentivize our membership, some kind of, you know, the club that has the most buy-ins or the most virtual members that are up and comfortable with this, some kind of trick or gift or some kudos that would encourage them. So it's just another thought.
We could do the Oscars. After a year of doing this, maybe we'll have the Oscars.
There you go.
For District 30. And we'll have the red carpet walk.
Virtual red carpet.
Here, you can take care of that for us, right?
And Larry will be in his little tutu.
Oh, please.
I can't unsee that thought.
I was going to say that.
All right. Any other thoughts or ideas, questions? I've got my family. They're all dinging me before my St. Patty's Day dinner. My birthday.
Okay.
Tomorrow, so I'm having to cancel my birthday gathering and do that. So I would love to continue, but if nobody has anything further they want to add, we can put this. We can end this meeting. Anybody good? Any other thoughts? Any last?
And anybody hear Ralph?
Yes.
We just heard you now for the
We
first
heard you now.
Mhm.
I had two questions for you. One was, what kind of equipment do we have to invest in? I've been checking out a monitor that's got the built-in microphone and camera. That's $250. And I think a lot of people that are not used to being on a virtual platform don't know, unless they got and I don't have a laptop, but everybody else barely does. But that may scare them, and how much they have to invest to be able to be seen.
Well, we've seen. I've always used my laptop, but you can get seen on your phone as well.
You can use your phone.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's what I have been using, and apparently I just figured out that I have to unmute it on the screen, not on my phone.
yes. That would be one of the how-tos we do, is show them where the buttons are and what those do.
Yeah, because I thought I was being ignored.
No. Ralph?
Yeah.
So just to let you know, back in the fall, Stella had this wonderful event that Theresa, myself, Stella, CJ Powers, and I'm blanking on the fifth person's name. CJ Powers was the moderator for a panel, and we all discussed about the equipment, and people were surprised. I pulled out stuff. If you have not checked out, if you go on YouTube and look for Toastmasters in Cars Getting Breakfast, and that's on my YouTube channel. And what happened was, all I did, people were blown away when I told them all I used was my phone and then an external microphone that's probably $5 that you can get from Amazon, or just any kind of electronic store like Fry's or Best Buy, and then that was it. I mean, I put it on a tripod, and that worked best. And then I uploaded everything on YouTube from my phone. I edited everything, and it took me probably at most about half an hour of the editing. The editing took more time than the actual interview.
Well, I have a landline, so I'm very simple in here.
Yeah, same thing. People use, all they do is a laptop or a desktop computer that has a webcam that you can get from Amazon. There are some very decent ones that you'd be surprised, it's less than $10.
Some of the ones I was looking at today were like $75, and all the cheap ones were already sold out.
I don't know if it's COVID related, but that's a good question.
Because I was looking at a Dell monitor, 23.5-inch diameter, and it was pushing like $259 on sale. Otherwise, it's $339. And I'm thinking to myself, well, should I go out and buy a monitor so I can have a face on screen or not? Because I'd like to be able to just put a photograph up there.
Yep.
Otherwise, people ignore a name.
I was just going to say that some people do put a photograph up. There's a way to do it. I haven't done it, but I know people on Zoom meetings, when they don't have their video on, they have a photograph up. It could be a photograph of them. It could be a photograph of the skyline of Chicago. They have a nice photo in place when their video is not being portrayed.
I've been watching recorded meetings of a virtual club when I was featured in the 2018 Toastmaster magazine, and I was they had their meeting tonight, but I couldn't make it, obviously, because they started at 6:30, and every Tuesday. And I've been looking at their a couple of their past meetings, and you can see how they have the faces on the screen and how they deal with there's a timer that puts up the papers, red, yellow, green, and somebody else is monitoring how people move around, and other people are monitoring, the typical Toastmaster roles. And it's very obvious that people that have overhead lights behind them, you can't see them, especially if they're African American, they just blend into the background. And happen to be this particular club is mostly in Florida, but they have members scattered across the U.S., including Hong Kong and China. And I will shut up now.
Can I ask you about that, Ralph? Which was that through Toastmasters International off of their website, or how did you find this club?
Actually, I searched for virtual clubs, and this is like I don't remember the name of it now. Something communicators, conservative. Competitive communicators. There's a Paul Finkelstein is the founder and former president, and I have the URL that I can, if I get an email address, I can send it to people. I covered all the stuff down, and I've looked at their website a couple of times, and they would welcome anybody to hook on at 6:30 Chicago time. They spend 15 minutes just getting their mic set up and chatting back and forth, and they run the meeting for about an hour and a quarter. That's it.
I'll provide you guys information for Paul Finkelstein. I actually am friends with him on Twitter because he was an area director 2 years ago, and then he belongs to a club in the Florida one.
Yep.
I remember if it's 47.
Yep.
I think it's 47. Yeah, so yeah, I'll send you guys his contact information if you guys are curious about his online club.
Actually, I've got his email address because it's on their club's website, and also the current VPE.
Yeah, that would be great to get some contact information or a website for that. I would be interested.
And they're only like one of 15 virtual clubs. I haven't even started searching the other ones yet.
Great. Well, thank you for all your efforts, Ralph, and for having that resource.
Great
job. Anybody else?
So we're hitting 8 o'clock now, so I think we should probably have just final comments, and want to thank you, Theresa. We hope you can join and do this again for us and take us to the next level of getting in the right mindset, right? The healthy, positive mindset.
And then, just as far as where we're at right now with the virtual, like I said, it's new opportunities. And as far as staying home, it's about playing games and connecting with family and simplifying and slowing down our lives. So we might as well embrace it because here we are. All right.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your expertise with us, and we will definitely gain a lot from listening to you. Thank you.
Pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So keep tuned on District 30's website. We are going to continue having more virtual opportunities for training and getting really comfortable with it. Just think what it's going to be like in 60 days and in 90 days, how much we're going to develop by doing it. And just like driving a car the first time or getting on the expressway behind a semi, we get better and better at it as time goes on, right? So thank you so much, and take care. My email is always welcoming. My phone number is always out there. Reach out to me if you need to. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks to you and the trio for pushing us into this new world order.
Yes. Thank you.
That's what we're here for. We're dedicated servers. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Good night,
Stella. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Night.
I can stop the recording now. Stop.